Hello everyone, welcome to Kelly Law College podcast. I am Saujanya M, member of Legal Aid Committee, Kelly Law College, Bangalore. I am very glad that you are joined with an important conversation. It is on women's health and hygiene, focusing on menstrual hygiene and sanitation schemes. Menstruation is a natural biological process which should not be hidden or whispered about, but in reality it is different. In India, girls collectively misses 80 million school months every single year due to inadequate menstrual hygiene facilities. At the same time, the disposable sanitary napkins which we use is filling up our oceans, which takes 500 to 1000 years to break down. So, in deeper to analyze and understand, we have with our guest Miss Divyashree ma'am, Assistant Professor of Kelly Law College. Ma'am, thank you for joining with us.
Thank you.
Seema Kandale, who is a renowned social activist who works upon the spreading the awareness about the menstrual hygiene, says in her article, India has 355 million menstruating women, but shockingly, 71% of girls' population have no idea about the menstruation before their first period. So, ma'am, what do you think that why this gap is existing even today?
See, the main reason for the gap is the hesitation which we find in the formal education system. So the formal education system does not make an attempt to teach the girls or the young girls there, young ladies, about what is this biological thing which is happening to every woman out there. So the gap is because of the social taboo. So menstruation, even to this date, we see it as a social taboo rather than a biological fact. It's a biological fact which we have to consider, and we have to educate the girls out there. And this menstrual education should not be a one-time course or one-time education or a lesson in the biology, but rather it should be a broader issue about health, hygiene, dignity and rights. So I think in every institution, every educational institution, in the very beginning of the schools or in the beginning of the educational years, if both girls and boys are educated about this menstrual cycles or the biological fact or the menstrual biology, why girls have this, then I think the gap would be we would be able to fill in the gaps.
That's true, ma'am. Moving further about the government initiatives like menstrual hygiene schemes under National Health Mission, where it provides pads for 1 rupee. Like more deeper sense, audience, please also make a note of this. There is something which is available for 1 rupees pad under Jan Aushadhi Kendras. So you can reach nearest Jan Aushadhi Kendra by using Jan Aushadhi mobile application, and also for women who are in rural areas, they can also access this facility by ASHA workers. So ma'am, what do you think, how it is effective in reality?
See, government initiative, we have menstrual hygiene scheme, we have Jan Aushadhi, Sudha pads. All these are well intentioned, so they have a well intention or a good intention behind these schemes or plans, and also they are also progressive. Yet there are few concerns when we talk about these things. As I said, it is a social taboo, and even to this date, purchasing of pads or purchasing of any menstrual cups or it can be tampons or anything in that matter, it is still considered as a taboo, and people are still having some inconsistencies in their understanding about it. And we see about you spoke about 1 rupee pad, so there is a lack of awareness. So you see most of the schemes or plans or policies which the government has initiated, they are initiated with a very good intention, but the effectiveness of these plans are not met because of lack of awareness. So lack of awareness among the beneficiaries is one of the shortcomings for ineffectiveness of the scheme. And also if we see in the rural areas or the remote areas, I don't think there is a regular supply of these materials. And there is a social hesitation, as I said, social hesitation among the girls, and also we see that there are ASHA workers in the societies or in the rural areas who can provide us, who can provide young girls with these 1 rupee pad or something. But there is still a social hesitation in the people of the village or remote areas or the rural areas to approach these ASHA workers or the Janaushadhi Kendras and to access this because of the stigma which is already there. And the stigma is so strict in that people are not able to come out of that social stigma. And these so I would say these policy frameworks are strong and they are implemented in a good way, but they still create a gap between the reality and the policy.
Adding to your point, ma'am, basically people will fear about the quality of the pads. And as I research, those pads are oxo-biodegradable, comfortable, and also they decompose within 3 to 5 years. So it will be helpful.
Yes.
Moving further, from policy point of view, what improvements or reforms would you like to suggest?
So I would like to suggest that first suggestion would be to mandate ministerial education in the schools. So in schools, not as a biology chapter as I said, but as a part of skills on health education. So if we educate people about ministerial or ministerial education is given to the youngsters in schools as a part of health education, it would help them to understand the concept, and we will also be able to remove the social stigma. And also one thing which we were talking about is the waste management. Yeah, there is also one thing which we can bring in, that as you said, there are biodegradable pads which are being circulated. So we see yet these biodegradable pads are there, corn fiber pads are there, yet we see there are a lot of people still sticking on to the plastic or the non-biodegradable materials, and these are also creating an environmental issue. So the integration of the ministerial waste management laws, and that in accordance to environmental laws would help, and also protect the sanitation workers, because we see there are sanitation workers who are still working in the field without any protective gear.
Yes.
And that would lead to health hazards. And when we see these waste which is being produced because of the ministerial pads which are using plastics, so the degradable period of these plastics is more than 1000 years. So one thing I would suggest is to bring these laws in relation to environmental law and manage the waste, ministerial waste, and also public awareness is one thing which is required, focusing on the ministration as a natural and a normal process. So the gap which is there, already there are policies, so the gap which is there between the policy formulation and the public awareness should be attained to is the immediate solution which I can give you.
So connecting to your information or knowledge, I would like to add upon according to data, according to the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation data, says that 28% of pads are thrown into open spaces and 33% of pads are buried in open spaces. So, ma'am, could you elaborate the serious impact about nature and also for who working as a sanitation workers?
So not only buried, I also see it as being burnt. You see, so the sanitation, these ministerial pads are disposed of, as you said, by throwing in water or burying, and also as they are burning it. So when you burn the plastic, the fumes and the because it is ministerial pads, it is used pads, the fumes from the plastic, so that is also creating a health hazard. Along with it, it is, as I said, it is creating water pollution. It is as it is not biodegradable, it is also leading to soil pollution. And we see a lot of environmental changes or a lot of environmental pollution happening because of these non-biodegradable materials being used as the raw materials for making these pads.
Today there is alternative for the pads, like as you mentioned about menstrual cups, reusable cloth pads, and biodegradable pads are emerging in the market. So what is your perspective on promoting these sustainable options on large scale?
Yes, these sustainable alternatives are always a plus or a positive point towards environment also. See, as I said, when we are using this non-biodegradable or the environment against the environment materials which are used in the menstrual pads, they are causing serious and serious environmental issues, and also these are not looked upon by the government. As I said, it is leading to soil and water contamination. There's a health risk, as I said, for these sanitation workers. So when we are using these biodegradable pads or biodegradable materials in making pads, and also we are using these menstrual cups or reusable cotton pads, they are the future of the menstrual health management. It is also good for the women and also to the nature. So anything which is good for the nature is good for the people who are in the nature or who are in the environment. And you see, when we are using these alternatives, we are reducing the environmental impact, and we are also, and it is also cost effective. You are shifting to a cup, menstrual cup. It is cost effective. And if you are using a reusable cotton pads or cotton cloths, it is reusable and cost effective, and also you are not generating too much of waste. So you are reducing the waste generation, right? So this is however a choice based, so it is not imposed upon anyone. Rather, I would say it is based on the individual to choose what is the alternative that they can do to protect the nature and the environment. And also it is to be supported by proper education and demonstration. As we see, these things cannot be used without for a very young girl who is going through her first period will not be able to use a menstrual cup. So it is required for her to someone to demonstrate or tell her or advise her or lead her out these to be used. And also it is very sensitive. When we talk about these things, it is sensitive to the society. It is sensitive to few people who are who don't see cultural comfort. So sensitization is required in these matters. And also there is a need for access to clean water and sanitation. So the law and policy must be an informed choice, and we cannot have a uniform solution, but we can have alternative solutions for this.
And finally, how do we strike a balance between providing accessible hygiene products and reducing environmental harms?
Yeah, same as I said, we have to go with multi-pronged approach. So continuing the whatever we are giving right now, the 1 rupee pads which is being given, that is one. Affordable disposable pads is one approach. Or you can also simultaneously we can promote the sustainable alternative. So this will balance both. This will balance the accessibility, and also this will balance the environment sustainability. And also we can invest in some safe disposal and waste treatment plans. So we have various waste treatment plans. So we can invest in this infrastructure where we can see that these wastes are disposed in a proper way, in a scientific way. And also accessibility and sustainability should not be seen as opposing goals. Rather, we have to see that as they coexist with the policy which is being in existence.
Before we conclude, I have one question, that is, how can we together as a society create an environment where menstruation is normal and it is not a stigma?
So yeah, So stigma, whatever it is, it can be dismantled only through society again, because it's a societal stigma, and it is the society, it is us who have to strive towards removing those stigmas. So it's a collective responsibility. So it starts from the family. So the families must normalize these conversations at home. Families must educate their children about these things at home. Then comes the schools and colleges. So formal education, menstrual health, health laws, health hygiene, these things are something which is to be taught in the schools and colleges. And it should be known to each and everyone in the society. The menstrual laws or the menstrual health of a woman, what she goes through, is to be known as a main thing for everyone. Like, it is not that only girls should know about this and boys should not know, or men should not be aware of this, but the awareness is necessary with everyone in the society, and the media and institutions must speak up these things openly and responsibly, and by this, menstruation, by being discussed openly and without shame, if we are discussing, and this will help us to move closer towards the society, and women's health is not going to be hidden anymore, and it is to be respected.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your thought and knowledge. And ma'am actually shedded light on the important topic. I'm sure that our listeners are walking away with more awareness and responsibility. To everyone listening, remember, menstruation is natural, hygiene is essential, and awareness is empowerment. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.